Hey guys, so I wanted to make a video today on starting your own accounting firm and just kind of recounting on the lessons I've learned from running my firm for the last about 7 years now. So the first thing when we're starting our accounting firm is your services. Okay, so your services are going to really determine how much money you make in your, first year, your first 2 year, your first decade inside of the business. And if you choose the wrong services, or if you don't know how to present your services in the right order or in the, proper pricing of those services, it's going to cause you to need a lot more clients than what you should in order to go and reach your goal. So I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you're at like 0 clients now because you haven't gotten started, or maybe you have a few clients. And your goal is maybe to get to about $10,000 per month, maybe $20,000 per month, anywhere inside of that range. Now, number one, we have to go and make sure your services are good. Now, and just before I even go any further, if you want some help growing and growing your accounting or bookkeeping business, maybe you've been trying for a little while, but it's just not quite going to plan, or you want to be able to find a new opportunity to grow your business a lot faster in the shortest time period possible, I recommend you go ahead and click on the link inside the description below or inside the comment section to book a call with me. And on that call, we're basically going to go and get into alignment with like, where are you right now? What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And also, what does your vision look like for your business? Like, why did you start? Do you want to get more time freedom from your family? Like, what does that look like for you? And if it makes sense, we can even work together long term. We can talk about the different pricing structures for that version of the program. And back to the video. Okay, so your services. So you gotta understand, like, are you going to do taxes? Are you doing monthly accounting work? Are you doing payroll? Are you doing, virtual accounting? Virtual CFO or virtual controllership services? Like, what services are you offering? Are you doing tax planning? Now, the reason why you need to be really thinking about this is because a lot of people only offer like lower value services. So they'll do like tax preparation, they'll do it for like individuals, and then they'll do like, business formation services. I'm like, you can't really charge a huge amount of money for someone who's starting, a formation. Like, I mean, they can go to like LegalZoom and get the formation correct. So really, you have to be looking at like, what are those higher value services, like virtual CFO, virtual controller, tax planning, and always be looking for like, what's the highest leverage or highest value service that you can offer with your current skill set, and then have those auxiliary services or those secondary services in reserve. Now, the reason why we do this is because if you have a luxury service, it allows you to be able to have a high price service that raises the perceived value of you and your firm to the client. And as a byproduct, you're able to raise those secondary services like your payroll and your bookkeeping services. So it's very similar to like Polo and Ralph Lauren. So Ralph Lauren or Polo, when they were starting, they had like a brand of clothes, and they were trying to like raise the value, and they wanted to go and make more money for that line. So what they did was they went and they started like a line called Ralph Lauren, and these were ultra luxurious price points. They did a lot of marketing to promote like a lifestyle that people wanted, right? So people were aspiring to be able to afford Ralph Lauren, so they started going and buying Polo because that's like the secondary offering to Ralph Lauren. And they make a lot more money with Polo because they're selling at such a high volume, and they're able to sell a higher price point than what they used to be. That is the thing that makes them the most money, while Ralph Lauren is also that back end and that kind of just profit driver on the back end that they utilize. It's the same thing with our business. You got to make sure that if you have like service like bookkeeping, payroll, or a monthly service, you also have some sort of service that acts kind of as that, like, like advisory, like you're an advisor. It's fancy sounding. That allows you to be able to charge more. For example, one of my students' name is JT. When he was starting out, he was only able to charge about $30 per hour for his bookkeeping service, and he was a CFO, he was a CPA. So he had the CPA, and he was only able to charge $30 per hour for his bookkeeping. And what we initially did was say, okay, let's add this service called virtual CFO, right? And what he was initially able to do for that virtual CFO, it starts at $2,000 per month for that service. Now, what he was also able to do was he would first go and say, okay, so we have this service, it's $2,000 per month starting with your kind of specifications and the amount of time that you need, as well as the auxiliary services you need, it's actually more like $3,000 a month. And generally, if the person is a little bit newer, they're a little bit smaller, they're just not quite ready to spend $3,000 per month with them for that service, they go, okay, that's a little bit too expensive. So he can downsell his bookkeeping service. Okay, cool. So why don't we go and work our way up to that virtual CFO? Because I know that I understand that maybe right now is not the best time for that, but let's go do it. And now he charges about $750 per month per 150 transactions that he does with his bookkeeping service. So he went from being able to charge like 30 an hour for these smaller companies. I mean, if it's a small company, they don't have any transactions, it's not a lot of work. Like he would be maxing out at like $300 a month because the companies are so small. Now he's able to offer that exact same service, but instead of getting $300 a month, he gets $750 a month. And he has a chance to elevate them to his, in marketing, we call it your value ladder. In accounting and bookkeeping, we just call it your other service offering. They call it cross-selling and upselling. So he has the option to upsell them at a future date. And it was all because he was able to add that auxiliary, just that kind of core service that people really respected. It's like this respect that you're getting when you add those services back there. Now, next thing, you need to make sure you can find a pool of clients. So most people go straight to making their literature when they're first starting. So for me, for example, when I was starting my firm, I talked to this one lady and she owned like a successful business. It was like this, she had this laser company. So they like made lasers and like they use on these like heavy machinery. And she was like, the first thing you need is like, you need to get your brochures, your flyers, your website. And like, that's what I spent. I spent 1 month on the website. I spent like a month trying to make the flyers. We were doing everything ourselves because I was just being really stingy and I didn't want to like spend money on like outsourcing anybody else, which is kind of a mistake because I mean, it took us like literally 60 days to even get all the literature started. And then once the 60 days were up and we had everything ready, then we started going to market and we realized it was so hard to get clients. Looking back now, whenever I work with someone, I say the first thing you need to do is you need to start going to the revenue, and then you can start becoming more official after you have revenue. Because to be completely honest, like if you don't really have a business until you have one, your first client, and then two, until you have a repeat customer. Okay, John Paul, I think it was like John Paul DeJoria, the person who owns both Patron and John Paul Mitchell hair care products. He was very famous for saying this. He said, you can sell anybody one time. You don't really have a business until you can sell somebody two times, at least two times. The reason why is because, if you can't get a product that people are actually happy to pay two times, what ends up happening is you basically just kind of end up being like one of those companies that's just looking for the next sucker. You're looking for the next sucker is basically what it is, because your service obviously is not good enough for someone to want to, repeat and keep going back and keep purchasing with you. So instead, if you can learn how to get the same person to pay you 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 months in a row, 24 months in a row, 48 months in a row, that's when you know you have a very sustainable business. But until you have that, you don't really know what you're doing. So there's no real point in you going and making a website. A lot of people will go and make a website, or they'll go and make brochures, or they'll go and make like business cards and stuff way too early because they're trying to get very professional, trying to get people to see them as a certain way and take them seriously, when instead you need to go and find people who already take you seriously, who already need your service, who already want to pay you money. And then as a bonus, you can start adding those professional aspects over time. And the ironic thing is like, um, so with my brochures, I spent like a month taking. I actually go back to the same Chamber of Commerce every once in a while. That I originally put out my flyer brochure stacks. Those same brochures are still sitting in the exact same spot 7 years later. We never ran out. We had like probably like 40 put in this one section inside of the local Chamber of Commerce. The reason why I go back there now is because sometimes we have like this I like volunteer at this entrepreneurship thing where we give like people advice on how to start their business, how to really structure the business for when they're trying to get like tech startup funding and stuff. And that's kind of why it's like every 2 months I'll go to one of those meetings and I'll just walk by the flyers and be like, I'll get a little chuckle out of it. Right. The point of that is to say that most people are spending way too much time on the stuff that does not move the needle forward. But instead, you need to be focusing on moving the needle forward, and then you can become official. For example, like Florence, when she first got started, she didn't really know what to do. So she ended up she just reached out to me because she was inside of my Facebook group, and she was like, "Hey, man, I don't want to go and make a bunch of mistakes. I can feel that I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of like treading water, and I'm just kind of doing random stuff. And it's not really moving me forward." I'm like, okay, cool. So the first thing that once she started working inside the mentorship program, the first thing we did was we went to LinkedIn to go and find targets. And then she just kept talking to more people, making invitations for them to get on the phone with her, seeing what their pains and problems and concerns are, and then making offers to see if she could serve them at a higher level. She got to about $9,000 per month in 50 days. Okay, that's in 50 days. And she was previously making about 30,000. She was making it between like 30,000 to about $35,000 per year as a bookkeeper in corporate America. And all she did was just basically just learn how to structure her service. She went straight to the market. Like she still does not have a website. She made this like little logo on I think it was either like Canva or whatever. That took her like 5 minutes. Even then, I didn't even tell her to do a logo. She just wanted to make a logo for whatever reason. And she just went straight and she just attacked. And it's really that simple, okay? It's making sure you have your services and your prices correct. And it's making sure that you can actually go straight to the market and attack the market really quickly and make sure that you can get in front of enough people's faces. You know exactly what to say on the sales consultation to get them to want to pay you a higher amount of money. Then you keep moving forward, and then you start just really hitting your goals a lot easier. Now, hopefully this video has been very helpful for you. Maybe you've been trying to do the stuff that we've been talking about. Maybe that your services that you're offering right now are not the same services that are going to take you to that 10K a month, that 12K, that 20K per month. And maybe you don't have your pricing right. Maybe you don't have your marketing or your sales right. You just don't really know exactly what it takes to be able to go and reach those goals, but you actually want to reach that level. I just want to encourage you once again to go ahead and click on the link inside the description below to book a call with me so we can go and just look at where you are right now, where do you want to go, and if I think I can help you out, I'm going to outline what that process looks like. We're going to do this thing together. We're going to walk and march towards your goals. And we're going to make sure that you do it in the shortest time period possible. If that's what you want, go ahead and click on the link inside the description. It's going to take you to my calendar. You can choose a time that fits you the best, answer a couple questions to make sure I can help you out, and then we'll see you on the call. Hopefully everything is good. If you're not quite ready for the call, I'll talk to you inside the next video, and I'll see you soon, okay?